something that is a problem right the way across Africa. And that's something that needs to change if women entrepreneurs are really going to fulfill their potential and do amazing things. And they will be the drivers of economic growth on the continent, but they need to get things like key funding in place. So that's one of the challenges we have to address. Interestingly, as well, Africa's youth are also some of the most switched on entrepreneurial thinking people. And yet, funnily enough, when they go through school and they go through the early days of college, that the idea of becoming an entrepreneur is not something that comes first to mind. They think, okay, I'll be an accountant, or I'll be a doctor, or I'll be a lawyer, whatever. They think of the professions, and they don't actually think that being an entrepreneur is actually something that can be not just life-changing, it can be community-changing, country-changing, economy-changing. And that's what's going to be different going forward, because women do think like that. Women are actually born entrepreneurs. Let's face it, how many people do you know in your communities where those women are actually feeding their children, their families, their extended families, they're the breadwinners, they're contributing to their communities. They're born entrepreneurs. You know, they can sell things, they can make things. But it's how do you take that to the next level? And instead of just being a subsistence entrepreneur, how do you build tomorrow's biggest brand? How do you build a company that is going to employ hundreds of people? And that's the trick. That's what we need to get right. I'm going to introduce you to some women who are doing just that. I'm going to flick through these first things because we've already done this. Right. The first big trend, and you will know this lady, I'm sure some of you will. Tabitha Karanja. In the first trend, the gender busters. I love this. Women that are going into traditional male-oriented industry sectors and changing the face of it. Tabitha Karanja is just one woman. This woman, I have to say, I take my hat off to her. She took on a 50-plus-year-old monopoly in the brewing industry in her country. This is Divine and Lukula. Anyone here from Zimbabwe? Right, this is one of the most inspirational women entrepreneurs I've ever met. And again, coming out of Zimbabwe. She decided, seeing so many unemployed women in the country, looked to use her skills and her knowledge of the security industry and actually create a company that has now become one of the biggest in the security industry that employed women. And women, a lot of women in traditional male roles in the security industry. So if you look at all of those people that guard your properties, that guard your lives, etc., she literally said, why can't women do that as well? Why can't women be just as effective as men? They just have to be trained in the right way, given the right support systems. And her company, Securico, is now one of the most successful companies in Zimbabwe and in the security industry as a whole. A real gender buster. Another one you might know, Tanzania. Anyone here from Tanzania? This is Susan Mashiba. She's someone who literally was a trained pilot, decided that there was a real gap in the market for private corporate aviation. You know, we see these little jets that scoot around these amazing executives from around the continent. Well, she said, okay, I'm a pilot, I understand the industry, I can make a really great business happen. I'm going to form my own company, literally flying the famous, the wealthy, the corporates, wherever they want to go around Africa. And she has built an extraordinarily successful company, Tangent, on the back of it. Wow. So again, a traditionally male-dominated industry, now being run by a woman who's passionate about what she does, is ambitious, knows her stuff. I mean, really top of her field in terms of her aviation training, and is out there doing it. A lot of talk this morning about, basically putting Africa on the map in the global context. And the next big trend for Africa's women entrepreneurs is those that are able to take what they do here in terms of their businesses and their companies and their brands and take it global. This is what's exciting. How many people recognize this amazing woman from Ethiopia? Bethlehem Elemu. Anyone heard of her? Anyone heard of the company Soul Rebels? Soul Rebels is one of the biggest success stories to come out of Africa in the footwear industry. If you look at some of the most trendy footwear worn by some of the really big name athletes around the world, and particularly in the States, where her brand is just growing to such a level. She has literally developed something that, if you think about the backstory to this, in Ethiopia, they had a tradition of a particular type of shoe that was worn through their days of conflict. And she said, okay, we have the ability to be able to make these very basic shoes that were worn by soldiers, but I can turn them with my design background, I can turn this into something extraordinarily trendy, fashionable, something that people really want to wear as a brand, but identify with the backstory. So she literally created Soul Rebels. Rebels based on that whole conflict idea, soul for the soles of your feet. Soul Rebels is now becoming one of the biggest, most exciting brands emerging out of Africa. I think this coming year she's looking at going into, she's already in 50 global countries. She's looking to go into, she's got a big network in the States. She's looking to build even more stores in the States, and she's looking to be in 500 global locations in 2018. So that's going global. That's actually a woman that's got a great brand concept, great company, great product, and says, why can't everybody know my brand globally? I'm going to go for it. She's employing predominantly women. She's training them up to have great skills. She's become a major employer in Ethiopia. So that's a great success story. And that's what they call going global. Taking something from Africa that is proudly African, using African skills, and taking it global. How many of you know this amazing lady from Nigeria? All of you fashionistas sat here. This is Diola Sego. She is now literally one of the couturiers to the rich and famous in Hollywood, in Nollywood. She's building the most incredible brand under her own name, but also multiple sub-brands. She's also building a dynasty. She has daughters, and each of those daughters are now in the fashion industry doing exactly what Mum does. And she's literally taken her brand global. She started out in Nigeria, built an extraordinary couture-based product, very high-end, exquisite fabrics, exquisite tailoring. But then said, well, at the time, Nollywood was her hunting ground. She had the rich and famous of Nigeria wearing all of her garments, going down the runway shows, you name it. But she says, why can't I take this to Hollywood? Why can't I take this global? She's now doing exactly that. This is building a global couture brand, and many of her garments are actually now seen by the rich and famous of Hollywood. So she's making it. She's also, like I say, building a dynasty. And now anyone living in Johannesburg will know this lady, Carol Boys. I'm sure anyone that lives here will have seen one of her stores. Someone who took literally a craft, making pieces out of pewter, but with a very individual style. And she has been, over a long period of time, has literally built a brand that is now absolutely global. She's in countries all over the world. She's being retailed in very high-end home accessory stores. She's a real success story. She also believes in training women and people from communities that have no skills and actually training them up to be really genuine, high-quality craftspeople that then have a skill for life. And that's a great example of a brand going global from this part of the world. This is another one, Bev Missing. Anyone know these products? She has a brand called Rain. Comes out of Cape Town. She makes the most exquisite bathware and sort of toiletries and things. But if you go into one of her stores, it is like stepping into an ocean environment. It has a fit. I can see these ladies have definitely been to one of her stores. She creates an experience, and it's all very eco-friendly. Her products are all very, low. Miss Earth, you absolutely should know this. Now this is phenomenal. Her growth has been exponential, and she is now taking her brand absolutely global. She's already in Europe. She's in the States, but she's now in the next basically 24 months is going on an exponential drive to launch Rain literally worldwide. So you're going to be hearing a lot about this brand and this lady. So going global, it is absolutely possible. You can have a big dream here in Africa if you're a woman entrepreneur. There is nothing stopping you apart from the size of your ambition, and the rest comes. Every one of these women entrepreneurs will tell you it's hard. It's hard to be a woman entrepreneur in Africa, but it's possible. It's possible to realize your dreams. It's possible to build a major brand. It's possible to build community, which is what I'm going to talk now, community entrepreneurship initiatives that have massive impact. It literally is all down to just the size of your ambition, your belief, the size of all those things that you want to achieve. This is an interesting trend, rise of the micro multinational. How many of you, when you think multinational, you think about big expensive tower blocks, steel, glass, lots of big boardrooms, lots of execs running around with very high salaries. I'm going to show you now an African a micro multinational that is making big waves right now as we speak. And this is her boardroom. Take a look. These are her employees. These are her executives. She's taking, and this is a lady who's from, actually I've got people here from Ghana, so you might know. Welcome. You probably know this amazing lady. She's one of the most inspirational women I've ever met. Akosua Afrikumi. She has a brand, she has a company called AAKS. Make a note of this, because I'll tell you now, within the next 5 years, you will covet what she makes. I can guarantee it, because she's making some of the most beautiful handbags in the world. And I wrote an article recently about the top 10 hottest handbag designers on the planet, coming from Africa. She was absolutely one on the list. These are her natural materials, and she's basically creating things that are becoming the most desirable handbags in the world. And they have a wonderful backstory, because all of these women in her local community, every single one of these craftswomen are from very, very rural Ghanaian communities that are poor, that are subsistence employees, but she's actually giving them all a craft. She's giving them wages that are above the average, and she's creating communities of craftspeople that allow them to still make. Check these bags. These are astonishingly beautiful. They are all made to the highest global standards. They celebrate the best of African design. Take a look at this. They are exquisitely made. Each of these women craftspeople have been trained. They are now gaining crafts that they could literally, and skills that they could roll out anywhere in the world. But these are hugely covetable. Let me tell you what happened to this particular bag. This bag revolutionized what happened to AAKS. We ran a feature on this company, and it all happened at the same time. She was picked up by, who's heard of Anthropology? That amazing New York company that literally travels around the world finding the next big thing, and that comes from a craft-based environment globally. Anthropology is one of the hottest places you can have a product anywhere in the world. If you make it with Anthropology, everyone else picks you up. And this is what happened with this handbag. She literally was found and discovered by the Anthropology team, who are now retailing her bags in New York. And not just that, since she was picked up by Anthropology, she called me just a few days ago to say, you will never believe this. I am now going to be showcasing in New York and Paris and London. I've been picked up by another major retailer. Her success story is literally taking off. This is a name to watch. This is another one. Now, this is another big trend, the pop-up retailer. How many of you have been out and seen a pop-up store where you maybe see a designer? It happens a lot here in Johannesburg. I don't know if it happens in all of your, You will literally arrive somewhere on the weekend, you will see these incredible pop-up stores, and you literally meet amazing designers or creators or people selling things, and something that they've maybe got a passion for, and they say, okay, I don't have a store, I can't afford a store, I will have a pop-up for a day, I'll take my products, and I'll see what I can sell, and people will get to know me, and hopefully I can make a business. But this is the biggest trend right now, pop-up retailing in Africa. And this particular company here, Bold Kampala, one of the most impressive teams of women entrepreneurs I've met in fashion retail ever. And I had the pleasure of meeting when they came over here recently to Johannesburg to do a pop-up in Johannesburg for a couple of days. And we helped them to promote it, and they had a wonderful experience. But they are revolutionizing the way that fashion retail and designers are getting access to new markets. So basically their whole approach is that, they're covering, basically they have, this particular company has a formal, big, impressive showroom in, anyone here from Uganda?
Yeah.
Yes, do you know so you probably know Bold Kampala?
Yeah.
Downtown.
Yeah.
Are you wearing any of their... They are at any one time showcasing around 35 African, predominantly women designers. They take on new people, again, designers that would never have an access to different marketplaces, and they go out and they pop up in a different city and they showcase those amazing things. Pop-up retailing is probably going to be the most liberating thing that is happening to African women designers. So if anyone has got anyone in their circle that is looking to see how they can launch in that space, this is not the only one. We have several that we're working with Lionesses to help showcase amazing emerging talent in that space. This is another one. This is one of my favorite entrepreneurs of all time. If anyone has been downtown to any of the big kind of concerts that are happening in Joburg or Cape Town or Durban, the chances are you will see Pumpkin Ivy. And this is one particular lady who is part of a husband and wife team. They are designers. But they decided to take the whole pop-up retail concept as an entrepreneur duo to a whole new level. They took a big abandoned truck, and this thing is painted black. It is emblazoned with the word Pumpkin Ivy on the exterior. They've kitted it out to be a boutique on the inside, and basically they go and take, this is their store, they go and take their designs and other young designers' products on the road to anywhere where there is a minimum of 100 people at any one time. And basically they'll arrive at a concert, they'll arrive at an event that's happening in a park, they'll arrive at a nighttime rave, they will arrive during the daytime. You might see them at Mabinet, they park down there a lot if you're in Joburg. You might see them down at the Sheds, another big trendy hangout place at the moment. But basically, they are revolutionizing the world of pop-up retail. They literally pop up. You never know where they're going to be. They pop up, but they use social media to be able to literally get people talking before they get there. And they invite the designers to come on board. So basically, they'll announce on social media that they're arriving at a particular concert, and the designers are going to be there. The amazing designs that they can buy will be there, and they will have an experience, and that's the whole thing. And it does. I've been to many of these with this duo. They turn into genuine experiences. You have impromptu concerts, you have all manner of things happening, and that's changing the face of retail in Africa for women. Here's another one. Okay, anyone who is literally thinking of moving into the world of entrepreneurship, collaboration is key, and it is a major driver of entrepreneurial growth on the continent. This is a great one. I don't know if you know it, there's a brand of olive oil in South Africa called Rio Largo. If anyone has ever used it, it is stunning. That's the one thing I will say for a start. But they create the olive oil, but they don't just do that. They say, how can we help other women entrepreneurs in our area? Brenda Wilkinson is probably the most inspirational collaborator I know. She says, how many other women can I encourage to become entrepreneurs using olive oil as the base? This is how they did it. That's Brenda. This is Zikuna Tefu. She is a young entrepreneur who lives in the local area where the olive farm is. She uses olive oil as a base product for the most exquisite handmade soaps. And she's now growing a really successful micro business by collaborating with the olive oil producer at source. And they showcase together. So wherever Brenda goes with the Rio Largo brand, Zikona goes with the olive brand. So that basically they're working together to be able to tap into new markets. This is another one. Sarah Taylor is another local person who is using the olive oil to create a whole new skincare range for people who suffer from eczema. And it just shows the power of collaboration to launch a new brand. Now here's a lady you probably do know if you're based here. The next big brand is Afro Luxe Brand Builders. These are the women that are building the luxury brands that we all want, and so does the world. Swati Martin Leke. I know I spoke to someone earlier on who's a friend. Yes, it's you. I love this lady is going to be one of the biggest names to emerge in the Afro Luxe scene. She is inspirational. She's also the master of the tea ceremony, and she's creating an entire line of African-based teas. And she's selling them to the world. I spoke to her recently when she was in Paris launching the brand there at this very glamorous soiree. And she's become synonymous with this beautiful tea brand that celebrates the best of African ingredients grown here, that employ local people to produce it, and blending them in a way that is really unusual, that has a real Afro twist, but absolutely for the luxury market. So she is proof positive. She's also one of the most glamorous people I know. As you'll probably see from, and this is how she does dress. She has the most exquisite, very individual style that is synonymous with the Iswara brand. And this one, I don't know if you know this particular lady. This is a backstory that's really interesting. This is a brand called Trebine, and these are cashmere, luxury cashmere scarves. And they are produced here in South Africa as part of the process, but the actual source material, the wool, comes from Afghanistan. She is half, she lives here, she's of Afghan origin originally. Her family still has a close connection with that part of the world. She is literally providing employment opportunities for widowed women in Afghanistan that were hugely affected by the war. They are producing the raw material, the actual fabric, using really old Afghan techniques and some of the best cashmere in the world. And then it's coming here to literally be dyed, printed, constructed into the most beautiful cashmere scarves in the world. And this is a brand that is going far. Watch out for this one, Trebine. I'll tell you now, it's going to be something that you will see lots of. And this is probably one of the most inspirational Afro-Luxe brand builders. This is Aïssa Dione. I don't know if you know her from Senegal. And she has literally transformed an industry that was dying on its feet in that country. And that is in the space of textile weaving and textile design. And some of the biggest designers in the world use Aïssa Dione fabrics because they are some of the finest in the world. But in that country, she's revolutionized an entire industry. She saved an entire industry single-handed. And she's now employing people and bringing back skills that were going to die in that country. She has made the biggest impact, one woman, because she had a vision, she had a skill, she had a love of textiles. And rather than see something die in her own country, she could have gone to Paris. She had lots of opportunities to go to New York and other major fashion capitals in the world. And she said, no, I'm actually going to do something here at home. The game-changing women techpreneurs. You'll know some of these ones for sure. And they really are revolutionizing